Welcome everyone to another live session at BTH Properties, where we are going to go live with one of the most world-renowned financial consultants by various companies, who's also built a real estate module, which I'm going to be discussing. The gentleman is Hamid Bahari, based in Dubai. So let's go live and find out more. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Murtaza. How are you doing?
Good. And yourself, Mr. Hamid? All well?
Thank you very much. I'm very well. Thank you.
No, not at all. It's a pleasure to have you here and speak to you about various different aspects, especially the financial world, where we are going through this massive dip, possibly a recession coming through, all that kind of stuff, all this negativity around. And that is why I have you here to shed some positive light, positive feedback, so that people who are worried, who are scared, who are in fear, they can see some positive news or get some positive news from yourself and look forward to that and work themselves up in life towards getting something positive out of this conversation that we are having. So thank you so much for joining me. It's a pleasure, especially from individuals that join me from different parts of the world. You know, I'm based in London, but I speak to a lot of people in London, in the UK. But when other people from other parts of the world join me in, you get to hear about the news, how, let's say, the GCC is responding to this issue, how the US is responding to this issue, how China is responding. So today we have you here all the way from Dubai. I know it's Eid right now and you're busy with family, but thank you so much for taking out your time from this and coming on here and spreading that knowledge and positivity.
It's only my pleasure. Thanks a lot for having me, and it's my pleasure always to speak to you and all of your audience.
Thank you so much. So before we start, Mr. Hamid, if you can introduce yourself as to who you are and what you do, so that we can get the conversation going.
Brilliant. My name is Hamid Bahari. I come originally from Alexandria in Egypt. Academically, I have a degree in accounting and financial analysis, another degree in financial analysis and portfolio management from University of Cape Town in South Africa. And I work as, in addition to being a trainer in different countries around the world, from as far as Hong Kong all the way to Los Angeles, predominantly in the GCC and Africa, and Latin America as well. We are introducing our products there. I also do modeling and consultancy. So that's in a nutshell what I do. I have been staying in Dubai for about 5 years now, because it's way easier for me to commute around the world from being in Dubai. South Africa was way too far away.
Dubai is now becoming a tourist hub. I mean, I don't know about tourism right now, but you know, it's a tourist hub. It's a financial hub. It's people who want to get somewhere in life or to escalate in life. They sort of turn to Dubai in getting that freedom or financial freedom, if I may say. So you mentioned you've done all these degrees in financial training and financial consultancy, and you know, did you always think when you were young as a child living in Egypt, did you always think that finance is where I want to get into?
Not 100%, no, but I was sure it will be. It will have a training element in it. I love training and passing knowledge. I figured this out when I was about 10 years old. Like, the teacher leaves the room and all my friends around me, what the hell he was talking about, stuff like that.
So you were a good student at school.
I was. I was top student back in
amazing
Alexandria, and both in University of Cape Town as well.
That's good to hear. Can I ask, why did you choose the University of Cape Town in South Africa rather than coming to the US or going to the UK or Germany,
Yeah,
for example, all these big financial countries where finance is huge, London being the capital center of the world kind of thing in
yeah.
terms of finance. Why did you choose to go to South Africa for studies?
Well, amazingly, Cape Town is one of the top cities in the world in terms of asset management, in
Okay.
particular.
Okay.
The fund I was involved with back in South Africa was the fourth best global fund in the world,
Wow.
based on a risk-return ratio ratio. And we have a number of very reputable asset management companies back in South Africa there. But the main reason why I picked South Africa, funny enough, it was my honeymoon, and I went there in my honeymoon.
Wow.
And just by chance, I met a couple of Egyptians there,
And
and
they
I had the
recommended.
chance to go to Philadelphia in
Okay.
US for
Okay.
my postgrad, and then they introduced me. I mean, you are here, go to UCT, University of Cape Town. Maybe you'll find it interesting, and because I'm crazy and my wife is even more, so we said, okay, let's go. And I went there. They liked me so much. They asked me actually to apply for the scholarship. I applied, was accepted. 6 months later, I came back to South Africa. We had a plan to stay there for 3 years. It ended up being 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. So from university, you joined a financial institution right there,
that's correct.
and that's
Yes,
how you started working. Um,
100%. Yeah.
how easy was it, and Africa being such a large continent where everything's available? I mean, there is no such continent on the planet that is as huge in minerals or diamonds, for example, and finance, because so many countries are involved in that continent. How
True.
hard was it to sort of put yourself in there and understand how that continent runs? I mean, I know you were in Egypt, so you were in the north of Africa and you came all the way to the bottom
Right.
of Africa, So how hard was it to apply your learnings, your studies, or how hard was it to adopt working in South Africa?
Yeah, a very interesting question. I'm biased towards Africa. I'm African, and many people in sub-Saharan Africa, they don't consider that North Africans are Africans, so they consider them from a different continent. But I consider myself African. I consider myself
It's
Egyptian.
the African Middle East, right?
Yeah, something like that. It's like it's in a different world altogether. A very interesting question, actually. You were right. South Africa and African continent, they have a lot of minerals, a lot of resources, grossly under utilized manpower, a lot of manpower. We are facing a lot of brain drainage in Africa. If there is a talent, as you said, they got acquired in
Yep.
Northern Europe, in the States, or in different countries, or in Dubai. So there is brain drainage in South Africa, and I consider this one of the biggest challenge actually facing the continent, because the talent, if they are employed properly, there are tons of opportunities available in the African continent. And
Absolutely.
I travel throughout Africa a lot, specifically in Ghana, in Kenya, in Mozambique, Nigeria. So I can tell you that there are tons of opportunities, and you can see a lot of Chinese people. Indians are coming very late into the game. The US is coming very, very, very late. Russians as well, the European Union. So there are a lot of interest into the African continent across the board in different industries. Real estate is definitely one of them. The middle class is improving rapidly in the African continent, and of course, thinking about having our own first house or in a better neighborhood, etc. Is this is a growing interest in Africa, and it has been
Indeed.
seen in South Africa, for example, because of the
Absolutely. I
black
mean,
economic empowerment.
yep.
You could see a lot of demand for the middle class housing, and to fulfill this demand, there is a lot of sectors that are improving. Definitely, real estate is one of them.
Sure.
So definitely, I'm pro towards African and the development in the African continent.
Um, you mentioned that you are into financial training and real estate modeling. Can you enlighten me more about what your challenges were with working with these institutions or giving that financial training? and then we'll go on to real estate modeling. But first, I would like to understand what kind of financial training do you give? What kind of financial institutions did you work for, and what sort of advice did you give them in different economic measures, structures, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. The training programs that I provide, including financial modeling using Excel and VBA, real estate modeling. I'm big also in business intelligence, BI, using Power BI in terms of making investment decisions and decision making throughout the whole organization in different classes at the speed of a click of a button. And you can see the picture of the company going forward and backward in time. Monte Carlo simulation. So a host of 16 different programs that I provide worldwide. But these are the
I read about you doing a Monte Carlo simulation. What's a Monte Carlo simulation? I don't know about it.
Sure. If you would like to become a pilot, for example, I'm not going to give you an airplane worth $200 million and 300 people on board to try to become a pilot. So instead, we are going to create for you something called the simulator. So simulator is all about the future, what you are going to see in the future, how to take off, how to land, weather troubles, day, night, etc. So simulation is all about the future. And who of us is not concerned about the future? All of us are concerned about the future.
Absolutely.
Whether you are in a big
we
company,
all want that crystal ball in front of us to show where we are going.
That's it. Yeah. That's it, exactly. That's the crystal ball. I'm going to show you the future. The biggest mistake that we handle the future with is that we consider the future as something deterministic. 1 + 1 = 2, which is not true. Because nothing in the future is deterministic. Who are you to tell me what the future will be? Anyone in the world? You never know. You could see what happened now with the epidemic, etc. So looking at the future as something deterministic, as something that we can, it's hard fast, this is what's going to happen, is very scary for me. So instead, Monte Carlo simulation looks at the future from a probabilistic sense.
Okay.
And you are going to make decisions from a probabilistic sense. So what do you mean by this? Imagine you have a real estate model, for example. So a typical development company that's starting a project, and there is a typical Excel spreadsheet. They put all the variables, and boom, tuck, we have the project on. Well, let's put the millions of dollars into the project.
Yep.
And if you see this model, most probably it will be based on 1, 2, 3 scenarios, for example. That's all. Best case scenario, worst case scenario, normal case scenario. Again, I'm asking the question: who are you to tell me that the future is one of your 3 scenarios? So that's very scary. And even if the future is going to fall out under one of these scenarios, do you know whether there is a higher chance of the worst case happening or the best case happening? Maybe the normal case that you are expecting, maybe a very little chance, and this worst case has the highest chance of it happening. You understand? So we are looking at integrating all the variables of the model together from a probabilistic sense, and then we are going to make the decision from a probabilistic sense. So for example, let's start making a decision in our company. If there is a chance more than 5% that we are going to have a bad project, let's not start it at all. So it's a very, very different skin in making decisions, and it started to come into the real estate market. And once you are actually aware about it, you will feel amazed. How come I ran away from this technique of looking at the future, and I was handling the future from a deterministic sense? You will actually be laughing at yourself, thinking, how come I did not employ Monte Carlo simulation in all my future decisions?
But this Monte Carlo simulation, is it a machine-based simulation that gives you the answers to your probabilistic answers?
It's a lot of the tools that are available for Monte Carlo simulation. So consider Monte Carlo simulation as a technique. So there are commercial products offering this Monte Carlo simulation, including, for example, Crystal Ball Monte Carlo simulation, which is a product of Oracle. There is R and Atrisk and all of that, which are add-ins that you can add in your Excel. So you have your same Excel model, but you are going to add the capabilities of the Monte Carlo simulation on top of them. And they are not expensive at all. Like a typical Monte Carlo simulation, Crystal Ball is about $1,000 per license for life. So you don't have to renew it. So these tools exactly what I push in my training program. So when you come to a training program, you need to have some kind of paradigm shift in your thinking and how like doors are open for you. So sorry, I lost you for a second. Can you hear me?
No, we're here.
Are we still together?
Yeah.
Okay. So I push a lot of these solutions into my training programs. And that's why, alhamdulillah, when people attend my programs, they consider it one of the best programs they attended in their career, actually. Alhamdulillah, that's, I don't want to overspeak about it, but the quality of my programs, alhamdulillah.
It's good to hear that a lot of financial institutions do use your services. You mentioned about real estate developers using this technique or this stimulation. Have a lot.
Can we say it better? Simulation, like
simulation,
like the simulator.
Simulation. Do a lot of UK companies or property development companies or real estate companies, do they come to you and ask you for this advice on this financial training that you give? Have you spoken to a lot of companies out here in the UK about this?
I provided my service in UK in the past for a number of clients. That's true. And they are always amazed when they see this kind of solutions. This is just one part of my training program, which is the Monte Carlo into the real estate modeling. If you just have a very, very simple Google search and just write Monte Carlo simulation in real estate, you will be astonished of the millions of links that are available out there in the market. And the companies that are using it, and it's a very different way of looking at the future, basically.
So would you recommend this for, would you recommend this simulation for a small scale property investor to a large scale property investor too? I mean, it doesn't matter whoever's using it.
I wouldn't say that this is required for a small scale investor, to be honest with you. Okay. It's more towards the higher end and the bigger clients and the bigger projects. Think about it. If I'm buying my first house, for example, and you tell someone, how come you didn't run Monte Carlo simulation in order for you to make this investment decision, for example, they would be laughing at you. They say, it's very easy for me. This is my rent. This is how much I earn. This is how much the bank can provide me. This is how much my wife is earning. Boom, that's a decision.
Yeah. So, and a lot of these decisions are made at the back of that. This is what they do. Like, they go out and they see the property valuation. They run it on an Excel sheet, putting the figures in. Excel gives them a figure saying, okay, you're going to make 6% or 5% return. If it matches their expectations, perfect. If it doesn't match their expectations, they move on to the other property. So a lot of the developers or investors, small scale or medium scale developers that I work with, they all use these Excel sheets. And this is the first time from you that I'm hearing about the simulator program or technique that people can use, because I haven't heard it from developers out here that they've used it or not. So this is why it was good to know about it. And I think people should use this more than depending on an Excel sheet where you can have the probabilities from all over the place and connect it into your Excel sheet, and then you can get a, let's say, a 90% positive or correct answer as to what you should be doing, rather than getting a 60% correct answer that go for it or don't go for it, you know. So
exactly. Yeah, you are mentioning the point very, very well. It's exactly aiming at this. So we are making decisions based on probabilistic future. We have to start respecting the future. The future is never deterministic. It is probabilistic, and we have to make decisions accordingly.
Absolutely.
So the end result of it is that we are going, it's going to tell us that 95%, 90%, 80% that this project will provide you the positive return. So it's up to your risk taking, but we usually have a sort of thumbs up number of 5% of bad things happening. So if I come to Murtaza and I tell him, Murtaza, let's have this real estate project, and there's 1% chance that we're going to lose money, Murtaza will tell me, okay, 2% chance, it's fine. 5% chance, I will go. But if I tell you, let's go, and you are going to spend a couple of million sterling, and there is a 20% chance that you're going to lose money, you will start doubting whether this is the right project for me.
Of course.
So we are, it's a sort of starting point for us, the 5% chance for us to sort of lose money, or the bad outcomes happening, for example.
Of course.
And it's, by the way, some people think it's something theoretical. It's actually the other way around. The theoretical part is to consider the future as something deterministic. That's theoretical. It's never true.
So but putting it into this technique is practical.
Yeah,
You're
yeah, of course.
actually, you're actually.
Just to give you an example,
Yeah.
a big prominent company, real estate development company in Saudi Arabia. So after I introduced this program for them for 5 days training program, I swear got you, the investment policy statement of the whole company has been changed. That there is no single investment decision in the as far as real estate is concerned in the company without passing through the Monte Carlo simulation and what Monte Carlo simulation is providing us as
Wow.
guidance of what will happen in the future. So you can remain with your deterministic models, but have this guidance of
Probabilistic.
how the probabilistic nature looks like.
Absolutely. During your time working as a financial training consultant and working with these models, obviously there's always a success story, like you just mentioned, that you went to the Saudi Arabian company and they introduced it into their investment model and they're working with it now. Did you ever face hardships where you've gone on to train someone and they've been like, we don't understand this, you know?
And yeah, in terms of not understand this, never happened in my career. In 22 years, never happened. So whatever in my mind, you will definitely understand. However, your IQ, your background, you have been pushed into the training, alhamdulillah.
So
So
you
it
so you
never
make
ever
sure
happened.
that you
They understand fully.
absolutely,
But
like they
but
say, yeah,
I hear your question. What you want is should we like move into a new way of looking at the future? Is this something right for me? Can I convince my management?
yeah,
Because if your management has been doing this for years and they have been, for example, they have made a lot of money, then somebody comes after a training program, sir, we have to look at the future from a different perspective. So usually any kind of what I always call paradigm shift or shifting your ideology or whatever from one state to another, this is a state of cognitive dissonance, which people usually resist it and they don't like to have a new approach. If my approach has been working for years, for
of
example, and
course.
it
This
was
is
absolutely
exactly
fine.
what I'm talking about because they've been using their approach for, let's say, 10 years. And all of a sudden
Exactly.
you come in and you introduce that model and they're like, whether it's going to fit in our model or not, or
Yeah.
we have to revamp the whole thing,
Yeah.
and start it. This is what I wanted to get at. Um, so you've trained companies all the way from Hong Kong to Los Angeles. I mean, there's a huge land area that you've covered, and it's absolutely amazing to see someone doing this kind of where they're traveling the world all the way to just train people on this financial model. It's absolutely commendable.
Thank you.
How is the business mindset? I mean, I'm sure you've worked with people from China, you've worked with people from the Middle East, you've worked with people from Africa, from UK, from US. These are the major economies in the world. How is their mindset different to everyone? There must be
Very
some
different.
people that may say, perfect, we'll use this model instantly. There may be people that will say like, nah, it's all right. There will be people who will be like, okay, give it 10 days, 1 month, 2 months, and then we'll introduce this model. How are the mindsets of people in different countries putting business in mind?
People are different, Murtaza. We are different in the way we think, in the way we approach life, in the way we conduct relationships between each other. So people are different. And similarly, at workplace, people are also different. So believe it or not, Warren Buffett doesn't have a computer on his desk until today. So if I take your computer out of your life, you are not the same person.
Absolutely.
You understand? And this guy is the best investor ever. And let alone talk about Monte Carlo simulation, for example. So Monte Carlo simulation for him, what kind of joke is this? I don't even have a laptop. I
Yeah.
still with a pen and paper. So people are different. People have been raised in different investment houses. You have the value investor, the growth investor, the technology enabled, the technology unenabled. So because of these differences, actually our life is better. Like imagine that we are all thinking the same way and we are all the same approach. Nobody's going to make money, by the way, if we're all thinking the same way. And And it's going to be a boring life, actually, if we're
Of
both
course.
thinking the same way.
Of course.
So in terms of investment decisions and investment life, as far as real estate or any asset class, it's the same thing. So just to give you a couple of examples, I go to Malaysia a lot. I love Malaysians, and I go there a lot per year. Malaysians are very, very, very flexible, for example. So they can adapt to change. They are humbled enough not to say, this is my way, this is what I'm going to apply. They are very humble. They are very down to earth. I really love them so much. And I have my company, I have registered a company there as well.
Yep.
Radix Development,
Yep.
also providing training solutions there. So some other parts of the world, they are stubborn in terms of change. So I would say UK are a little bit on more, I'm not saying the most stubborn, but they are more towards the rigid approach of this is how we have been doing and this is how we should continue doing this. I'm not saying that they are not open to change. I mean, I'm saying very, very, very general sense of the world now.
Of course. Of course.
So people in the Middle East, as the word mentions, they are in the middle. So between this extreme and this extreme, for example.
Yeah,
So you find some companies, once it starts, like what I told you in this investment house in Saudi Arabia, once they understand this new approach, it became part of their DNA now. So it becomes like drug; they cannot get out of it.
So they need more and more changes as they go along in their company to look at different investment models all around.
It depends a lot how you have been raised as an investor, and the investment house that you have been in, and how liberal it is in terms of the thinking and criticizing your management, applying new approaches, or no, this is our approach, this is what you have to do, and so you get, as a kid, you learn from your dad and mom.
Yep.
As an investment analyst, you learn from your superiors, for example.
Absolutely. Now, the question that I'm going to ask you is, how would you predict today's day and age we're in, where pandemic, loss of jobs, loss of economy, a cab driver of Uber to, for example, a UK business like Debenhams, who got closed off, who got bankrupt. How do you predict the financial economy moving forward from this, bearing in mind that a lot of governments and financial analysts are predicting a recession? What do you think? Where are we heading to?
It's definitely the worst crisis that definitely in our lifetime, and it names very well the Great Depression that happened back in late 20s. It's catastrophic. A lot of, as you mentioned, a lot of jobs have been lost, a lot of lives have been lost. Economies are struggling. There is no one immune into it. Big countries, small countries, we are all facing it.
Of course.
In every negative, I always bring the positive as much as I can. That's me as a person, and it irritates my wife a lot that it's very negative. Then I start talking about something positive out of it. She's, what the hell are you talking about? So yes, I agree with you that there is a lot of negative have been impacted in your profession, in my profession, in everyone, with very, very, very few exceptions all over the world. Like, it's great news for a company like Amazon, for example. It's wonderful news for them.
I mean, I'll just give you an example. 5 of my good friends that we go out to eat or sit for dinner, family, everything. All 5 of them sell on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I'm the only real estate guy, or something I'm doing totally different, right? These guys today are normally, they'll be like, oh, this is not selling, that is not selling, oh, what should I do here, blah, blah, blah. Literally, I met them for Eid, and their businesses have been flourishing, mashallah, alhamdulillah, because Amazon is flourishing. People are sitting at home. People are buying from home. Does this mean that this is going to be the norm now? Like, where, just taking, for example, big institution, big companies, Goldman Sachs, for example. Massive offices in Canary Wharf and the city and everything. And now their employees are sitting at home doing Zoom meetings, go-to meetings, all that kind of stuff. What happens to the financial market, to the commercial property market? All this, don't you think, is going to go down, and this is going to have a negative impact on lives altogether, where people are sitting at home deprived from meeting their colleagues on a daily basis in the office, all that kind of stuff? Don't you think that this will also have a negative impact on the financial economies of the country?
Absolutely. With regard to this particular aspect of the commercial influence of having big giants like Amazon getting bigger and bigger in the market because of the current situation. It's already happening before the corona, by the way. A lot of commercial real estate, particularly in the US, have been negatively impacted tremendously, and a lot of shops were closed from all major brands, the physical shops that are there. So the world has been moving fast towards online shopping, and instead of having because of the lower pricing, the convenience of it, the product I will receive it at my end, there is a huge reliability to these brands that they are not scams. I can get my return if the product is faulty. So all of at the beginning of the online shopping, people did not trust it that much compared to now. And what's happening because of the crisis, there were people who resisted online shopping altogether. That's not how I shop. So these people are now forced to go into online shopping, and that's sort of the biggest breakage into the system now. That the wave of the people that first-time online shoppers, these are in millions around the world, and these people are for the first time shopping online. And for the first time seeing the pleasure of having the product at their front end, and they are paying lower price and the convenience of it as well. So this is exacerbating the cycle, the negative cycle towards the commercial side. That's true. In addition to that, of course, you have the wealth effect. If I lose, for example, in the stock market, I feel that I am poorer, even though it's paper loss, for example. But because I am poorer, I'm going to spend less, I'm going to employ less, I'm going to have less parties, I'm going to buy less furniture, etc. So that's the negative wealth effect, for example, which is happening. Another very important influence of what's happening is the employment. All of a sudden now we realize that we don't have to have the people sitting together in order for us to get the job done. The job is done, and you are at home, and he is at home, and she is at home. So why do I have to employ you in Manhattan? You can be sitting in New Delhi, you can be sitting in
Malaysia, anywhere in the world.
You can be sitting in wherever, and you are going to do the work for me way cheaper and in the same efficiency that I'm getting, for example. So again, that's going to shuffle a lot the employment around the world. Google started employing now. Facebook started employing now people that are foreign, that were never actually been in the US or any of their offices. You will remain wherever you are, and the work is done, for example. So instead of us outsourcing to different agents, for example, the companies themselves are going to be the outsourcing companies. So they are going to employ the people around the world. So this is going to have massive impact on the level of wages, because you are competing now with the rest of the world. And why should I pay you these X amount of money, and your colleague is going to get it at fourth the price?
By the conversation by what you're saying, I feel the world is now becoming one.
Yes, exactly.
Where we had even so many economies.
Trump doesn't like it that we are the US, and we can do everything, which is exactly not what the world is moving to. Globalization actually increased massively. People are thinking that no, it's because nationalization is increasing. Check how Europe is happening. Everyone is closing. Once this epidemic is gone, you will see how much we became a global citizen, and we are all talking the same language, and we are all sharing the same pain, And from January was not in 200 years ago. January was just a couple of months ago. And see how the whole world. That's all because of globalization and
someone said
the
the
ease of
same thing,
movement
that
of the people.
when a war or pandemic happens, governments and the policies that they are looking to introduce in 5 to 10 years, they get introduced within 2 months, like
Yes, 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 yes.
like
And that's what I
lockdown.
like about Dubai, by the way. You mentioned in your introduction, talk about Dubai. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, the ruler of Dubai, he has a saying that it's really hanging in my mind all the time. He said, if a decision takes you 1 week of analysis, so it has to be made within this week. So I'm not rushing you. I'm not saying you make it in 2 days, but you said it will take 1 week of analysis, so better make it in 1 week. So they are very, very, very efficient. The government in Dubai here, the government in the UAE is the most efficient government in the world for about a decade now. Almost.
I mean,
Every single.
I'll give you an example of Dubai. I used to live in Dubai. This is going back years ago. Like, I was a kid when I
Really?
left.
Where in Dubai?
There was a place.
Dubai Land.
I was only 9 years old. I mean, my parents were there. They were
Yeah.
working for. The tallest building at that time was the World Trade Center.
Oh my God! This is
This
very
is
now.
like
You cannot see it actually.
1990 I'm talking about. And I think
Oh
just
no,
before I
no, no.
left, they made that building with the sphere on the top.
I know what one you're talking about. Yes,
And then
yes.
today, which is
That
what?
was actually the
Maybe
end, sort of the end of Dubai.
there you go. That's it. And then now you go to Dubai, it's like, wow. I
It's
mean,
a real, yeah.
Jumeirah Beach, for example. Just take Jumeirah Beach. Take it back 30 years ago, and you'd be like, what do we have here? You know,
Yeah, oh, going to
and
Jumeirah.
now it's like a resort. It's, you know, so I can understand what you're saying, like how the UAE or Dubai make their decisions in terms of being the economy that people should look up to. You know,
Yeah.
I completely understand that. Before we wrap up, Mr. Hamid, what I wanted to ask you is, and this is, I ask all my guests that come on here, to share some positive light on how should someone become positive in life, putting all these negativities aside. You know, one word, one sentence, whatever you want to say. How would you advise the younger generation, the business owner who's lost all his business during these 2 months, a university graduate who's possibly wanting to, like, you wanted to go to Philadelphia, but you ended up in South Africa, you know, for your studies. So what would you advise them in terms of taking the positive action in life to move forward in life?
Um, I'm very humbled to give advice to someone. This is a big word to
And I
give advice
include
to someone.
myself
So
in
I
that.
am,
I include
yeah,
myself in those people. So you're
yeah.
advising me.
So don't take it as this is coming from the upper side. We are all in it together,
Of course.
and I'm talking to a brother now, and I'm talking to sisters who are going to be watching this more than somebody with an authority to come to say that this is what you need to do. Um, Happiness is a choice. Happiness is not something that will come to you when all conditions are perfect in life, and you only then you are going to have the happiness. Happiness cannot be conditional. You cannot put conditions to happiness. You can be in a very, very frustrating position and you can still find happiness in it. And I'm not talking something theoretical here. Just to give you a very short example, there is a book called The Fred Factor. Highly advisable, really, to you. It's a very small book. You can finish it over a weekend. The Fred Factor. Fred is a postman. It's not the most affluent job, and you wouldn't think that this guy has a lot of enthusiasm and
Yeah.
motivation because of so many factors. One guy, he amazing, it was in Philadelphia again. So this guy, he joined this neighborhood, and he was astonished after a couple of days, somebody knocking on his door. Hello, sir, my name is Fred. I'm your postman. I'm your partner as far as postage is concerned. Please accept this flower for me. Da, da, da. And he was surprised. Why is this man dealing with it? He actually felt that this might be a scam. Who is this guy trying to knock on my door, for example.
Yeah.
And then he asked the neighbors, and he said, of course, this is Fred. All of us, we know Fred. He knows all our names. He knows the kids' names. And he meets people with a smile, with a genuine smile, not a fake smile. People are not stupid. They really feel if your smile is genuine or
Of
your
course.
smile is fake.
Of
If
course.
it's coming from your heart or it's coming just from your facial muscles.
Yep.
And this guy was actually a motivational speaker. And he kept on thinking about this a lot. A lot of the neighbors told him that this is an affluent neighborhood. We have a lot of engineers and doctors and nurses and accountants and investments in this affluent neighborhood. However, the existence of Fred has actually changed the whole of neighborhood. We all feel that we have our troubles as a businessman, as a doctor, as whatever. But when you are facing Fred with his bicycle, facing a lot of troubles, receiving very little money, and he's still having this genuine smile. If Fred had conditions for him to be happy, he shouldn't be actually smiling. He should be frustrated, miserable all the time until my conditions is done. I need this money, I need this wife, I need these kids, I need the schooling, I need the swimming pool in my house, and I need this kind of neighborhoods, and I need this Ferrari in order for me to be happy. He wouldn't be happy, and you'd be wasting your life. Seriously, it's your life. So it's up to you to decide whether you want to be happy or not. It's not up to the conditions that will make you happy or not. Because believe it or not, after you get the Ferrari, after a couple of years, you want to get the better car, because that's the nature of us.
Of course.
My humble point of view, yes, we are all facing troubles. Yes, we are all suffering. And many of us are suffering actually worse than the economic is there. They cannot breathe. They are sitting on a bed, and there is a machine, and if there is an electricity cut, he cannot take his breath in and out. So what kind of conditions you are setting for your happiness to come? I'm not asking you to be a clown and go in the streets and start laughing loud, but what I'm asking you is that wake up in the morning with a desire of change, with a desire of happiness, with a desire that it's not the end of the world. And it happened in way worse conditions when you have a war, for example. So war is very bad, and people who face these wars, they face similar conditions of economic hardship, insecurity, and still manage to live. So it will pass, but don't let it kill you until you wake up again. This guy who had I was reading about him the other day, the ice cream with the cold stone ice cream. I don't know if you know it, the one that this guy had $3 when he started this business, exactly $3 in his pocket. So this is the beauty. Again, I'm using the word beauty, even though we are in a very ugly state now. But I'm saying the beauty of having any trouble is that it will start really brainstorming sessions are starting now. And you'll have a lot of ideas emerging during and after the post-coronavirus. Be one of them.
Of course.
Be one of them.
Of course.
Start your fortune now, and you have nothing to lose, and it's bad everywhere. You are in the streets, maybe. You lost your job. You lost your business. Steve Jobs, he started after he was sleeping on the floor, asking his friends when he joined one semester in college. That's all what he had, one semester. He was asking his colleagues to sleep on the floor. So the man who changed the way we communicate in life, he was sleeping on the floor. And if he had this as a condition to change in order for him to be happy, he wouldn't have made this. So he stood up again and he created this fortune, even though he didn't have the technical background.
Yep.
So what I am saying is, whoever listening to us, you can start now having your own idea up and running. And if this is not the right time, it will not come again.
Of course. I mean, this is one of the best times. This is one of the best times that I can think of for anyone to come up with an idea and to turn it into a life-changing opportunity.
True.
You know.
Absolutely true. If it is not happening now, Murtaza, what are you waiting for?
Of course.
Until when you are going to say that this is the right time for me to start, for example, something?
Of course. And these live sessions is produce of this pandemic lockdown that I went through. Like what you mentioned, I wanted the money. I lost when this lockdown happened. I lost 3 4 deals where it was big commissions for me because of this lockdown. They cut off all the deals. They pulled out, and I was like, what do I do now? You know, how do I move forward? I got to pay my bills and all that kind of stuff, and just started doing these live sessions, and all of a sudden I can see that my brand is getting recognized. People are talking to me. On the back of that, people gave me some properties to sell, which I sold. And
Here you
now
go.
this live session is now becoming a part of my everyday life, where I cannot relax until I speak to someone that I've not spoken to before, you know, and
Yeah,
coming here and talking to them, knowing about their life, knowing about their career, knowing about how they are making a change to this whole situation around them. I just can't sleep at night without having a live session with someone. So it's absolutely great to have you on here discussing about how your financial training has changed different institutions in the world, how they have started thinking of using different techniques to make it work for them, make it work for their investments. So it's good to have you here and discuss
my
all these
pleasure.
things. Hopefully, in the next few months, I'll. One final question I forgot to ask you.
Sure.
Your financial training sessions, are they still taking place online, on online
Yes,
networking?
absolutely. Of
So
course,
you
this
are.
is also another opportunity that we had now. So my training sessions are actually available now for everyone around the world. So there is a new one coming in business intelligence, Power BI, and in financial modeling using Excel and VBA.
Do send me an
So
invitation link when you start that so I can join in and know about it.
absolutely, with absolute pleasure.
Super. Thank you so much, Mr. Hamid, for joining me. It's been a pleasure to have you and speak to you about all the
Thank you
different
so much,
things. And
Murtaza, and God bless you for what you are doing. You are a great man. Thank you very much.
appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Masalama.
Thank you, brother.
Take
Masalam.
care.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
So, guys, that was Mr. Hamid Bahiri, all the way from the UAE, who joined me today discussing different aspects on what he has done in terms of financial training and coaching, and making investment firms believe that the probability model of predicting the future that he uses is a great asset for them in predicting the financials, the real estates, whatever they're dealing in. So it was great to talk to him. And if you want any more information on how to deal with your financial uh, issues, or how to simulate these techniques into your business, do go and check him out on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and see what he does and how he does it. Thank you so much to Mr. Hamid for joining me today and sharing that knowledge and positivity, and all the viewers that joined in. Thank you so much. Because of you is what I do. So do tune in tomorrow, where I've got a few other people joining me on the live session, especially a hotelier who I really want to hear from, because the hospitality industry, the tourism industry has massively been affected. So it would be good to hear from the hotelier's point of view of how they see the future. So thank you so much for joining me. Have a great evening. Take care, whatever you're doing. Bye bye.